manipulate the geophysical aspects of the Earth and also connect to other dimensions and outside the planet. And now when Atlantis finally sunk, this device was at the bottom of the ocean, and occasionally, depending on the fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field, seismic activity, what have you, it activates this crystal, and it opens up a vortex and really bleeps out whatever's above it, whether it's a person, an airplane, or a boat.
Wow. So there you have it. We've had small discussions about the Bermuda Triangle, and I've done a lot of work with that, and it's always been suspected that it was of alien origin. And there you have it right there. Folks, you're listening to the Investigators Report. I'm Gary Pureford with my very, very special guest, Mr. Stewart Swerdlow. We have now been talking about the Montauk Project and its origins or its connections with an alien race. And with all that said, Stewart, now let's go to the big enchilada, the history of the universe. Give us the rundown.
Wow, it's a big universe out there.
That's right.
There is an estimated 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone.
Mm-hmm.
And there are an estimated 100 billion galaxies in our physical universe. And we have to also realize that there are infinite universes of all, whether you call them parallel universes, alternate universes, whatever term you want to use.
Right.
So if you do the math, and even if there is 1/10 of 1% of these stars that have intelligent life, that would still make millions and millions of civilizations out there. So it's really astronomical when you think about that the universes are teeming with life, and we're not the only ones, obviously not.
Right.
And so I can only tell you about the history of this galaxy, because that's what I know.
Right.
I mean, I'd have to spend the rest of eternity telling you about the rest of the universe,
Right.
the millions of civilizations. But what we learned at the Montauk Project was that the origin of humankind was in the Lyrian star system, a star called Lyra, Lyra, which is located in the central part of this galaxy, and that was human. And for the most part, and now we have to understand that human in other parts of the galaxy is very different than human here. We're not really considered fully human by the rest of them out there, and I'll explain why in a moment.
Okay.
But on another star system called the Draco star system, which you can see better from the southern hemisphere of this planet, there was a reptilian race created or placed. We feel that this race is not natural to our universe, that there were other beings which were called the Clear People. I write about that in the Montauk Alien Connection book. And they, for some reason, placed and created these reptilian races here in the Draco star system. The reptilians considered themselves to be superior to all other species. Reason being, they are androgynous beings, meaning they're male and female in the same body.
Mm-hmm.
And once you go outside of physical reality into the non-physical, you are just energy. You're not male or female, you're just an energy. And so they feel that as an androgynous race, they incorporate a higher level of God mind than humans do, because humans are separated into male and female.
Okay.
Making them lower level to the mind of the reptilian. Another feeling that these reptilians have is that they are more perfect because their DNA does not change over millions and millions of years. It stays stable. Whereas mammalian races constantly change and adapt and evolve in order to survive in the environment. So right away, the reptilians feel superior because they don't have to change. Feeling, if you're already perfect, there's no need to change, whereas mammals are imperfect. So based on those two mindsets, they had an agenda of going out into the universe and assimilating and changing whatever species they found that were assimilating and changing whatever species they found that were non-reptilian androgynous, mm-hmm. because they felt it was their obligation to God mind to do so. Now, I'm not going to comment on whether that's right or wrong, because that's how they think.
Right.
Humans think in a different way, which they might think is incorrect. But that is why the Draco attacked the Lyrian star system. And the Lyrians, who were very peaceful, almost etheric beings, never had weapons, never had a need for a military, and so the attack was quite a shock. And basically, that civilization was eliminated, and the survivors dispersed to many other star systems in the galaxy. For example, Tau Ceti, the Pleiades, Antares, many other star systems, including this solar system that we're in.
Right.
And over the tens of thousands of years of time, they adapted their physical bodies, these refugees, to accommodate the new environments to which they had fled. Now, the reptilians, of course, continue their search and destroy mission, if you will, or assimilation mission, wherever they would find colonies of humans or any non-reptilian species in the galaxy. And we were taught back then that 70% of the population of this Milky Way galaxy is of human derivation. 25% is of reptilian origin, and the other 5% is mixed type. In other words, all different other kind of species, including insect-like and other types. You name it, it's out there.
Okay.
Well, the colonists that came to this solar system basically only found 2 planets that were habitable. One is what we now know as Mars, and the other one was a planet right after Mars that was called Maldek. It existed between Mars and Jupiter. And that planet was large, it had an atmosphere, it had oceans, etc. The Earth at that time had the second position from the Sun, and Mercury was there as the first position. And the Earth had no moon. It was completely covered in water and water vapor as an atmosphere. There was very little above the surface of that water. So it was uncolonizable. And Mars was colonizable. So they had a human Lyrian refugee colony on Mars and one on Maldek. And I need to also explain, and it's difficult to do that just verbally. I would need to show you on a board that when planets are formed, when they are ejected as molten material from the star, and then they start spinning in the coldness of space, the outside of that molten material starts to harden. And as it spins, the interior molten material, by centrifugal force, starts to push to the sides and creates a hollow space in the middle, and the excess gets pushed out through the polar regions, which then are creating as an opening.
Right.
And then the interior open space, the lining of that starts to harden as well, so that the molten material then gets trapped between the inside and outside layers of this spinning object. And that's how planets are formed. And at 19.5 degrees latitude on both north and south of such planets, you will find that's where the pressure points are the highest, and you'll find most volcanic activities in those locations, and that's the same on the Earth and Mars and everywhere else. So my point in telling you this is that most planets are hollow because of this planetary formation science.
Mm-hmm.
So now we get to the point where the reptilians, Draco, find the human colonies here in the solar system.
Okay.
They use as weapons ice comets that they drive by creating small black holes that they create in front of them as a propulsion or pulling system. And what they did was to send an ice comet into this solar system in order to destroy those colonies.
Okay.
As the ice comet passed the planet Uranus, the Uranus flipped on its side and is the only known planet that rotates north to south instead of west to east. And it's still doing it to this very day. Then the ice comet went very close to Jupiter, and between the geomagnetic pull of Jupiter, our Sun, Mars, and Maldek, the planet Maldek exploded and created what we now have as the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter.